Alright, is this it? This is kind of a short dungeon. There it is. We found it. Enterprise. Look, it's the Enterprise. Right behind that giant dragon. What are the chances? Yes, just beyond that enormous sleeping dragon. The dragon is not our concern. We have come for the airship and only the airship. Sid, you and I will sneak aboard the Enterprise and prepare it for launch. Petra, you stay here and keep an eye on the beast. If it wakes, we may need you to provide a distraction until we're ready to depart. You can manage that, can't you? Wow. Always thrown to the wolves. That settles it then, shall we, Sid? As you command. Sid's like, wow, we kind of played her for a fool. So you mean to slay Garuda next? Interesting. Most interesting. And you are aware that her strength greatly exceeds that of your previous primal conquests, a testament to the fanatical devotion of her followers. The Ixal are nothing if not zealous. In spite of your past achievements, I labor to believe that you will best this foe. Yet only a fool would underestimate the great bringer of light, slayer of Ifrit, bane of Titan. If any mortal is capable of defeating the Lady of the Vortex, it is you. Win or lose, the battle should at least make for an entertaining spectacle, assuming of course you live that long. Don't do it! He did it. Alphana, the dragon! Confound it all. Who could have seen this coming? Let us see how well your blasphemous gifts serve you this time, Crystal Bearer. Staying away from that. Oh! turn around. Wow. What difficult dodges. Ow. It's like reminiscent of like a Kingdom Hearts DM move, but 1,000 times easier to dodge. Is one beaming? Any day now. I'm starting to see like the seeds of typical Square Enix RPG mechanic or action RPG mechanics, but everything's like so slow. But I mean, it makes sense. Makes sense why it would be that way. I got some cuffs. Nice. Chaos Emerald. So yeah, how many is this now? Aren't we pretty close? Isn't this like 5 or 6? This is 5. And I would imagine we get the last one from Garuda. Petra, are you alright? Speak to me. I'm standing right here. To all be praised, I feared the beast had injured you. I see now why the others rated you so highly. When we were caught in the midst of the etheric bubble with the dragon, I was all but certain my next mission would be to find a new champion. Thank the gods for sparing me that inconvenience. I have quite enough to do already, which reminds me, Sid is working on the Enterprise as we speak. Let us go and see what he has to say. I feel like that's the first time he's really, like, cared about us much. He's been pretty stone-faced up to this point. What say you, Sid? Will she fly? Yes, though it will not be a pleasant ride. Well, I dare say it will be no more unpleasant than staying here. 'Tis a pity the Enterprise is not in a better state, but if she will allow us to quit this place, I shall not complain. If all are in agreement, let us return to Gridania. Though I would like nothing more than to set a course for the Howling Eye, it is plain that the Enterprise is in no condition to weather the storm. She must needs be repaired if we are to proceed with our mission. Enterprise, Enterprise. This is also familiar. I know this airship. If I could just... Ah, it's no use. It's no use. Let's go. I don't know, it looks pretty intact for being there for so long. Ah, how I have longed for the more agreeable climate of the Twelveswood. Yet I will not deny the Holy See had its charms. Endless detours aside, our Asgardian jaunt proved quite an adventure. Alas, our work is far from done. We still have an airship to repair and a primal to slay. No rest for the heroic, eh? Well, that suddenly looks better. It calms me to look at her. It's as though I've been reunited with a part of me I never knew was missing. Hardly surprising, you did design and build her. I bear good news. The Seed Seers have granted our request to house the Enterprise. It may take as long as we require to repair her. Of course, it would be rank folly to take one moment more than we require. Garuda, lest we forget, grows stronger by the hour. If we are to have any hope of wresting this benighted realm from her talons, it must needs be soon. Though I am no expert on the workings of airships, it seems plain to me that the Enterprise suffered much from her time in the wilderness. Am I not correct, Sid? You are. Frankly, it's a miracle she carried us this far. As you know, the Howling Eye is encircled by a raging tempest, apt to turn proud trees to matchwood. Our battle will end before it begins if the Enterprise cannot weather the storm. Given time, I believe I can fully repair her. But if this tempest is as fearsome as you say, even that may not be enough. Confound it, there must be a way to brave the fury of the elements. The elements, but of course, that's it. We work upon the element itself. Using the power of a corrupted crystal, we could clear a path through the storm and spare the Enterprise a battering. I see, you propose to utilize the properties of a crystal to alter the elemental aspect of the barrier. It seems so childishly simple in retrospect. Though mayhap not to you, Petra, we speak of the manifestations as over-aspected aether that can be found throughout Eorzea. Since the calamity disrupted the land's etheric currents, such crystals have become comparatively commonplace, which has been a cause of great woe as they are known to warp etheric energies, including those of living organisms. The point is, we could theoretically use a corrupted crystal to convert the wind-aspected aether comprising Garuda's barrier into aether of another aspect, one she cannot control. With certain modifications, the Enterprise should be able to deliver us to the Howling Eye in comfort, however hard Garuda blows. We are getting ahead of ourselves. All this rests upon our ability to procure a crystal with the necessary properties. Have you any idea where we might acquire one? I don't know, let's go on like 97 fetch quests and get some food for people, and then maybe they'll randomly give us one. No, but I know a man who might, a scholar by the name of Lambertiant, who resides in Camp Drybone. Strange as it may sound, I met him during my time at the church. Well, Marquis met him, I suppose, whether out of pity or for want of a more willing listener. He would talk to me for hours at a time about his etheric studies, corrupted crystals being his pet subject. It was as a result of these conversations that poor Marquis was observed to possess an uncommon knack for theoretical science. Petra, I need you to return to Thanalan and seek out this scholar. Sid and I will set upon repairing the Enterprise in your absence. Sure thing, Busters. I'm guessing I can just teleport the dry bone. Don't have anything at dry bone? There it is. Yeah, pretty interesting that Garuda is such a big part of this game, and it's such a big part of 16 too. And honestly, Garuda wasn't really part of any of the other Final Fantasies. Usually just like a random enemy. Yeah, I guess so. I think he's actually in the house down here. Yep. Why yes, I am Professor Lambertient. Beg pardon? You wish to hear about my research on corrupted crystals? Truly? Well, nothing would give me greater pleasure than to discuss my work with a fellow woman of science. Wow, that's groovy. Ah, so rare it is to find fellow intellectuals in this region. 'Tis even rarer to find one capable of comprehending the nature of corrupted crystals. What is this, Reddit? Come to think of it, there was another, a hermit to whom the church had given sanctuary. Curious fellow, unsociable, rather daft at first impression, yet possessed of an amazing affinity towards the scientific pursuits. But to the matter at hand, did you say you wish not to conduct field observations, but to harvest a corrupted crystal? Egads, woman! At least take the necessary precautions so that you do not suffer from exposure to the harmful energies. I'm beginning to wonder if you've sufficient qualifications to handle such hazardous materials. This guy just hit me with the egads, woman. Still, your ignorance is somehow endearing. Luckily for you, I have precisely the means by which these inherent dangers may be averted. Simply store the crystal you seek within this warded pot to protect yourself from its deleterious effects. Though I suppose you will be bombarded with its energies until you place it within the vessel. Well, perhaps it shall motivate you to work quickly. In any case, take the pot to Hahasako, a student of mine monitoring the flow of aether at Highbridge. Explain to him your quest and he shall instruct you in the finer points of crystal harvesting. Alright, hold on. I gotta blow my nose. I sound like this. Okay. How's it going, Ace? Later, Irish. Not right now. But once we're done with the Let's Play, I will be playing, you know, openly, and you can send me anything you want. Not at the moment, no. This way. What is the holiday quest? Just a little side quest thing? An event? That's what I figured. My chocobo just yeeted off the cliff. How many times must I be made to explain myself? I am not contemplating suicide, you imbecile. I have chosen this precise position to perform scientific measurements. Calm down. Here's a pot. What have we here? A containment vessel? Why, this is the handiwork of Professor Lambertian. You thieving knave, I shall call for the... Oh, you say the man himself lent it to you. Then you must have sought me out per his instruction. Which means he believes me experienced enough to expound upon his explanations. At last, the recognition I so rightfully deserve. This guy's losing his mind. I guess I'll take this just to see what it looks like. Oh, it's the same, it's just colored different. Kinda like that though. Oh, frabjous day, Calais, that I should be chosen to guide this woman. Yes, I, Hahasako, greatest of Professor Lambertian's pupils, shall see that you successfully quarry your quarry. Quarry your quarry. Quarry your quarry. Your timing is impeccable. In fact, for I was just preparing to procure corrupted crystals from the burning wall for my personal research. There, the devastating destruction caused by the calamity has blessed us with a bounty of sublime specimens. Though something tells me you naught but a perfect peace will satisfy your high standards, in which case, you must needs descend to the deepest depths. Amidst the flowing waters and the murderous mirror nights lies the most fantastic formation I have found thus far. Take this highly advanced researcher's tool and use it to separate a small fragment from the large cluster. Place it within the warded pot and bear it back to me for inspection. The path that leads from Burgundy Falls to the base of the burning wall is treacherous and terrifying, but advance with appropriate caution and you shall surely survive. I'm gonna laugh when there's like 2 bees in my way. Some goats. Parkour. Yo, how's it going, Kayuna? Did you change your name from Kayuna TV to Kayuna VT? Is it opposite day? Wait, do you think I can take this guy now? No? Going for it. He hurts. I do 0 damage. I'm out. I'm dead. man, I'm all the way back in Horizon. I almost had him. I had him right where I wanted him. Seems like he's not just level 50, but he's like a strong level 50. He's not your average level 50. We'll get him next time. Game's going well. Making some progress. Deep in the heart of spaghetti. The Death Just challenge in A rank. Define challenge. How's it going, Kryso? Challenge is probably a strong word. Hello? Kind of wonder if I could do that guy's side quest while I'm in here, but I just don't have any desire to do side quests. By the way, what did I say? It's like it's gonna be super treacherous and I got some fuzz balls. Okay, that's a little better. Wait, these are the guys from Final Fantasy XII. Except they're bigger. That is a terrifying sound. I'm definitely enjoying it a lot. Like, I'm starting to really feel like my abilities matter. I mean, I'm still doing the same thing every fight. There's very little, like, difference in what I'm doing. Which I know is kind of just standard MMO, but that's kind of my issues with MMOs in general. I don't know if this game is doing enough to separate itself from that currently. And it could also just be because I'm DPS, so that's just kind of the way DPS goes. You have your cycle and you just go through your rotation, but I do wish there was a bit more variety in, like, options. So I just do the same rotation every fight. The rotation's fun to do, but, you know. I'm enjoying the story. I'm enjoying the story more than I thought I would, and everyone says this is the worst part of the story. So that bodes well. Yeah, but that's my issue, is like, it doesn't matter how intense the fight is. I'm still just doing the same rotation. Like right now, I have basically my rotation is Boot Shine, Twin Snakes, Demolish, and then Boot Shine, True Strike, Snap Punch. And then alternating depending on whether or not my Demolish has run out and whether or not my Twin Snakes has run out. And that's really it. And then if there's a million enemies, I could use Rock Breaker and Armor the Destroyer, but it's usually not worth it, even if there are a lot of enemies. And then whenever my meditation is up, I can use Steel Peak for extra damage. And that's it. And then, like, I have all my status moves, like Leg Sweep and Mantra and Bloodbath, but I just hit those when I need them. So, like, it is a fun rotation, but, you know, I wish there was a bit more variety in, like, what I need to use in certain battles. You know, like, I don't know, what's a good example? Like, oh, this enemy is armored, so I need to use my attack that ignores armor. Or this enemy is fire, so I need to use my ice attack. Or this enemy is far away, so I need to use my move with more range. You know what I mean? Like, there's no real... No matter what it is, if I'm fighting a dragon, if I'm fighting a sheep, if I'm fighting a elemental, if I'm fighting a wall, it's always the same rotation, because that's always going to be the most damage. There's never really an instance where a different move would do more damage. With the very small exception of if there's a ton of enemies, then I can use my AoEs. But that's it. So that's where, but like I said, I feel like that's just the life of a DPS, like... But... I don't know, I feel like there could at least be some, like... Oh, this move's good against armored enemies. This move's good against ice enemies. This move's good against enemies that are far away. Like, just any kind of, like, oh, this move would be better at this moment. But there's not really any of that yet. And like I said, that's a general MMO thing that I tend to just dislike. It's not the game's fault. It's just something that I dislike in MMOs in general. I like to play games like Devil May Cry, where it's like every enemy you walk up to and a different ability is going to be more efficient, and you need to master what moves are good against what enemies. And every enemy tests your knowledge of what your abilities can do and when to use which ability. You know what I mean? And that's just something that a lot of MMOs lack, I feel, including this one so far. Now, if I were playing a support, or even maybe a mage, there'd probably be a lot more of that. If I'm playing support, I'm probably going to have a lot of, like, oh, I want this ability, I want to use this defensive ability, or I want to heal this person at this time, so, like, there'd be a bit more, but... I still don't know if there would be a ton. Seems like the mages at least have elements, so there might be some elemental things, but... Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. Like, most MMOs, from what I understand, is the challenge is doing a lot of easy things at once versus doing a few hard things. Does that make sense? Like, it's kind of the opposite of... I hate to use the example, but Dark Souls. Where, like, Dark Souls is very simple, but the very few amount of things you have to do are very difficult. You know, whereas, like, here, it's the opposite. Everything's very simple and easy. Like, everything's easy, but there's so much of it. And you have to just be good at knowing everything and being able to press all the buttons. But the actual act of dodging attacks and using buttons is easy, you know? So, like, I think that's just kind of... goes to show you the type of gamer I am, you know? I like the more simple but challenging versus complicated and easy. I think that's really a good way to put it. Because, I mean, if you look at a lot of the games I play, and a lot of the games I play competitively, like Celeste and Doom and even Final Fantasy VII in a way, at least in terms of like the speed run. It's very like simple to play but hard to master kind of games, where it's like the actual controls are simple, but to master it takes an extreme amount of knowledge and timing and physical skill, you know? Hey. And I think, no, that's part of the reason why MMOs just don't really vibe with me very well. It's not that I hate them or anything, and I still enjoy playing them, but I think that's part of the reason why they just don't vibe with me, because it's not that same, you know, challenge loop. It's more of just a lot of easy things thrown at you at the same time, and you just have to be able to, like, multitask. Right. It's interesting. Link. But again, you know, to reiterate, that is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing that the challenge of this game is a lot of easy things thrown at you at once. It's just whether or not you enjoy that, or if you enjoy more simple games that are harder to master. You know, it's just a matter of preference. There's nothing wrong with it at all. And in this game's defense, like I said before, the rotation that I have is fun. Probably the most fun rotation I've seen in a game like this. And maybe even more fun than, like, any isometric RPG I played, like Diablo. Like, I really like the rotation. It's very fun to do. If they could just add just a little bit of nuance as to, like I said, just something very simple, like, oh, this, like, having enemies be armored, and then giving me an attack that pierces armor. Like, just something very simple like that would go a really long way, I think. But, either way, like, the rotation is very fun to do. I have to keep track of multiple things. I have to keep track of my mantra. I have to keep track of my twin snakes. I have to keep track of my demolish. I have 2 different positions I need to be in. I need to be behind the enemy for demolish. I need to be on the flank for snap punch. So, like, there's multiple things I need to be paying attention to, and it makes it really fun. It's in no way boring. It's just, if I had my way, if I could pick how I wanted the game to play, I would prefer just to have a bit more nuance in terms of what I use against what enemy. I think that would go a really long way to make it more variety, so I'm not hitting the same exact skills in every fight. That's like my only complaint, really. No, I don't believe so. To be fair, though, I read that ability a long time ago. No. Guarantees a critical hit damage dealt is increased when under an effect that raises critical hit rate. So I only have 2 positional attacks. Snap punch and demolish. Yeah, I want to just go into a fight and be like, oh, this enemy is doing this, so I need to react with this. But instead, the only thing I'm looking at with the enemies is if they have a position attack. Otherwise, I'm just looking at my skills. I want a bit more interactivity with the actual enemies I'm fighting, you know? And I think that also goes a long way into making enemies, like, more interesting. Instead of just being like that big dragon was cool, but I did the same thing for that big dragon that I did for that bird just now. I did the same exact skills, you know? But like I said, regardless, I still think in terms of, you know, entertainment value, this is probably the most fun rotation I've seen in a game like this. I just recently tried Diablo 4, and I've also been playing Diablo 3 to finish that awful platinum. And like both of those rotations are so boring. It's just like 4 moves, so you just spam. There's no... It's so boring. Like post-game, it's so boring. It's fine throughout the game when you're getting new abilities and trying new things, but once you get your build, it's just like spam the buttons. I'm like 20 or 30 hours away or something. Still pretty far away. That platinum will take the cake for the most monotonous platinum I've ever gotten, because I had to do it twice. Well, I don't know, BBS is probably even worse, but at least you do different things in BBS. You do boring things, but you do different boring things. I see you've come galumphing back. Have you the crystal then? What a prodigiously large and lovely crystal. Professor Lambertian will doubtless chortle with joy when you present it to him in person. Oh, and upon your return, do remember to recount how I helped you with your harvesting. Why'd I even have to go back to it? Did I ever tell you, bro, about the old Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance duplication? If you've never seen it, it's absolutely hysterical. So, Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance is a PS2 isometric RPG, like Diablo style. It's a great game. Absolutely love the game. It's a very unique game. It's like Diablo, but with more like action RPG elements of actually having to like dodge attacks and stuff. It's very simple though. Like it's nowhere near the depth of Diablo, but it's really fun. I played it as a kid and really enjoyed it. But even as a kid, we very quickly found out how to duplicate things in the game, because literally all you have to do is you start up a game with a character, and then you insert a second character, and you just pick whoever you want. So you could have, like, let's say you have like a level 30 warrior and a level 30 rogue. You start the game as the level 30 warrior, you join the game as the level 30 rogue, and you could just drop everything and leave. And it won't affect the rogue's profile. So, like, duplicating is as easy as just joining the game and dropping things. It's like the simplest, like they just had zero, the game doesn't go online, so they just never even thought that people would try to cheat, I guess. Like they just didn't even think, or they just thought like if you cheat, it's on you because it's a single player game. So they just put in zero defense against duplicating items. If you want to duplicate things, you go right ahead. But then it gets even better, because let's say you have only a level 30 warrior, right? You don't have another character. You can start the game as the level 30 warrior, join the game as a level 1 rogue, drop everything, have the level 1 rogue pick it up, and then leave the game and come back, and then grab it all back. So you can just duplicate whatever's in your inventory on your level 30 warrior without even having another character. You just join as a level 1 and just drop everything and then leave and come back and pick it back up. Then you'd have 2 of everything. It's one of the easiest, like, goofiest duplicating tricks I've ever seen. We used to do it all the time as kids. The hardest difficulty in that game is, like, mega hard. We used to just sit there and dupe to get stronger so we could beat the hardest difficulty because it was so difficult. That was, like, one of my first memories of, like, quote-unquote cheating in a game. That and, like, putting in codes in GTA 3. We also had a code breaker that we would use for the second game, I think. That would give you, like, infinite money and stuff. My keen scholar sense tells me that you've obtained a corrupted crystal. Am I right? If you would grant me a moment to examine the crystal. Ah, it is as you desired, a corrupted crystal overflowing with wind-aspected aether. Remind me, for what purpose did you intend to use this crystal again? What? To breach a barrier comprised of wind-aspected aether? Oh dear, that may prove problematic, as this crystal would only serve to strengthen the barrier. Brother, why didn't we just tell him this before? We didn't even tell him before. We should have told him before. I suppose I am at fault for not inquiring as to your objectives from the start. Had I known your intent, I would have never sent you to Sako. But what is science if not trial and error? Can you truly say that this failure has taught you nothing? Think, woman. You now understand the methods necessary to safely collect a corrupted crystal. You will doubtless have no difficulty doing so once more. What's more, the crystal you collected can serve as an invaluable resource for the ethereal studies conducted by the students of Valdecion. You've heard of them? Well, I don't mean to boast, but I have a professional relationship with the organization. Not as equals, of course. I would never be so bold as to claim that level of expertise. Are you alright? Your eyes seem to have glazed over for a moment. Anyway, I shan't keep you from your task. You've still a corrupted crystal to find. Bro, wait. So our mission was to go get a crystal, but because we didn't tell them which one we wanted, we just got the wrong one? That's the whole quest? I can see why people say this part of the game is yikes. Well, I can accept the next monk quest. We haven't even done this one yet. Corrupted crystals of sufficient size and strength are not all that common, I fear. Fortunately, one of my other students, Sina, claims to have discovered another promising site in eastern Lanasia. Wait, that's not correct. Eastern Lanasia was where she was nearly killed from wandering too close to an Imperial castrum. Aha, now that made for an amusing anecdote. It was western Lanasia, Faro Sirius, on the Isles of Umbra to be precise. I can't recall her exact reasoning, something to do with one of Dalamud's talents or some such nonsense. What I can say for certain is that she is still in Alaport, attempting to gain access to the Isles. Why not travel there and see if Saena's inquiries bear fruit? If you can look past the crass and violent ways of the local pirates, you might find your time there to be quite pleasurable. Oh, and do not forget to take your makeshift warded pot, lest she think you're unprepared for the task. Exciting. Alright, let's go back to Old Da and do some monkeying. What was that 2D game that was really mean and made fun of you? That was the snail game. Can you snail? Can it snail? Something snail. You know the one. No, I haven't checked out the gold saucer yet. Maybe we do that as like a finale when we beat the story. Will it snail? That's the one. That's the one. Look at the little snowman.